Hello and welcome back to Tommy's Top Picks Weekly Roundup podcast episode 117. I'm your host Tommy, joined by John.
How's it going?
Good. We played some bocce ball.
We did. I got a little sun. I feel like a little heated from the sun.
Yeah, it was a beautiful day out. It was a ton of fun. Got together for a friend's birthday party and played some bocce ball.
It was fun.
It was a lot of fun. I hadn't played in a very long time, since I was a kid probably, but very easy to pick up, very fun to play. But we're going to be talking about a bunch of stuff today. We're going to be talking about a little bit of Outlaws of Thunder Junction since it's now out. I'm excited to draft it on Arena. And we're going to be talking about who did it best, Star Wars or Sorcery, on their first set launch. And then, what else did we say we were going to talk about? Pokemon and taking the brunt of Lorcana from Lorcana.
Yeah.
But maybe it's just shifting. We'll see. We'll get to that.
Yeah, it's just market moves.
And
what we played.
Let's start with what we played. I played some Arena. I've been getting ready for Outlaws of Thunder Junction, just grinding up a bunch of gold and gems to do some free drafts because that's what I enjoyed doing. And just by grinding games to get my quest done, I reached Platinum, which was super fun. I looked at what decks were popular right now. I found a Boros red-white weenie deck, screamed my name, jammed it, got there. It was a ton of fun.
Nice. Do you have enough points?
Oh, yeah. I can draft. I'll be able to draft like 4 times.
Is the draft open now? Is it
Tuesday.
Official? Tuesday, yeah. I thought it wasn't quite yet. Okay.
Yeah, so some point next week we'll have to get together and record a co-op draft.
Yeah.
John and I drafting together. That'll be fun.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm really interested to see because I have not drafted. I withheld from doing Karlov Manor. There was a quick draft event for Phyrexial V1, so I did one of those to kind of brush up on draft because it's been a long time since I've played Magic, and because I didn't want to. So I have not experienced the play booster effect on draft.
Oh, yeah. So, how does that have an effect?
A lot more rares and a lot more bombs.
Oh, I never even thought about that. Yeah, that's going to be wild.
Yep. It's pretty different. I watched a couple of the big streamers. They got to do a pre-release event early on Arena.
Right.
So I watched a couple of those.
We should get together for that Winston draft thing,
yes.
too. That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
With more bombs and stuff. Oh, let's do that.
Yeah.
Cool. Anyways.
We can do that with those bundles.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, yeah. I'll have the supply.
Yeah. Yeah. We can just jam Winston games. It'll be fun.
Perfect.
But yeah. Oh, and also talking about Winston and stuff like that, I heard, you know how there's like escalation leagues for Warhammer that I did? There's escalation leagues for Magic. Did you know that?
No. What does that even mean? I don't understand how that works.
So you start with pre-release, right? You build your deck at pre-release. And then each week you get together, you get to add a pack to it. Just from the one set. So there's
you have to work off of your pre-release pack? Like, is that... Oh, God.
And then you build your deck from that, and then you move on. And then sometimes you guys draft, and then you can use the cards you drafted. Sometimes you play constructed, and then you use the cards you built.
Where is that? Is that only in your local area?
No, I just... there was a YouTuber that was talking about how he does it at his store.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
And so it's a way to keep everyone on the same page, same kind of equal level of investment into the decks.
Yeah.
With some limited variety. And just seems super cool. And then you get to experience the set for what it is.
Yeah, that's my jam.
Because there are all the cards that are meant to be played together.
Tommy, it's draft and progression.
Yes.
Tommy, Tommy, who came up with this and how did they know me?
I'm super excited. So maybe we can organize it. I feel like at the rate we play, it would be the pre-release and then the next pre-release because
we'd have a hard time. We'd have to find either shop that did it so we could find a way to do it regularly or something. Because I don't know if we could get people together on the regular like that. But
we could also probably do it through Arena. Use like Draft Sim or something. And then just these are the cards that you
are allowed to use.
And then so you keep a spreadsheet of everyone's available cards.
Yeah. You could do that. Interesting.
I think it'd be fun. But yeah, excited about that. And then I went to my Star Wars locals on Tuesday. Went 3-0 on Leia again. Super fun. I played a Shrewd I played a Andor, and I played Tarkin. No. Who else did I play? I played Krennic. Krennic. I've been hearing a lot of good things about Krennic. First time I got to play against them, won, but it was close. I forgot to read his card, and then one of the I made a misplay because I miscalculated the damage that would be done on an attack because automatically each friendly damage unit gets +1 attack for Krennic, just passively. That's his hero ability, and I didn't know that. I didn't read it, or I knew it, but I forgot it, kind of thing.
Yeah, totally.
But I ended up getting the win either way, so enjoying that a ton. We'll get into Star Wars a bunch more in a bit, but you wanted to talk about your dragon deck?
Yeah, so as I've talked about in many videos, I've been working on several commander decks, and they're all crap basically at this point, but slowly getting better. Dragon deck was the first one I sat down and was like, okay, I'm gonna figure this out. So I architected it. It's just one of those websites you can put in and like goldfish on it and change cards out, kind of experiment. And I spend a good amount of time with it. Bought a few cards. Some of them haven't even come in yet, and tweaked it here and there, basically refined it down, made it a little bit tighter from that V1, probably V2 actually. So this is probably third version. And took it back to my pod, played against all the decks I've played against before, and actually took home several wins, like legit wins, not like they're being nice and letting me build a board state win. Like legit, I beat their faces.
Nice.
Yeah, it was, and even on one-on-one, I kept playing it after the little guy went to bed, and we were just playing one-on-one, which I was like, it's not going to win one-on-one because most of my decks are dirtily and they're designed around there's politics at the table and there'll be multiple targets.
You're not going to get sniped the first couple turns.
Exactly, right? So I was like, oh, there's no way I'll win one-on-one. I freaking spanked him.
Thanks.
Spanked him. Now, granted, this was one of those like, I pulled the right things, good start, strong start. Like, it was definitely a very strong start for the dragon deck. It would not happen. I don't think like 2 out of 3 I would have made. Like, I think maybe it'd only be 1 out of 3, but it was fantastic. He got a slow start. I got a strong start. I got to do all the dragon things. He almost pulled off the win because I got him down to like the last few life, and he had an infinite combo he was able to play the next turn, which I didn't know. I didn't even realize it was in the deck. And this was a new deck for him. So also, take that measure as part of it. But he's really good at making decks. And I had one of those things where by attacking with the dragon, it gave me 6 mana, but I had the copies of it because my Miriam makes copies. Yeah, so I had 12 red and green mana, 6 of each out. And I had this dragon that when you drop does some damage based on the number of dragons you have or something like that to any target. And so I finished it. I was able to finish it based on that. I wasn't sure. Like I thought I was about to pass the turn. I was like, I don't know if I can. And I'm looking and I'm like, oh, wait, I got to draw a card because this thing did this or whatever. He's like, yeah, go ahead. So I drew the card and it was this thing. And I was like, and I win. I was like, yeah, that's game. And he's like, oh, man, I had you next turn if you didn't. So nice. It was a very close game. Very good. Lots of fun. Lots of good games. We played a bunch of different decks. I pulled out my mermaid deck to do that. He did not like that. It whipped him. And that's not even optimized. That's just mermaids are easy. But yeah, I had a lot of fun. It was good. Got to play with a couple of decks. Still haven't gone back to my Enchantress deck. I have gone back to Radagast, and I hate it. I cannot find a way to make it good, so I may abandon Radagast completely and make another deck. That's why I was telling you I was looking for a new commander that's a little different. Yeah. I want to include green. My general theory is I like green because of ramp, and I like big creatures. But I want to do different things than my green blue typical thing. So I'm looking for like green and something else. And I'm thinking maybe something with black because black seems cool and has lots of big, like high cost stuff.
Yeah. You can get those pests from.
Yeah. And like graveyard stuff. You know what I mean? I like Dina. So I could maybe rip apart my Dina deck as part of this and Radagast and then come up with something else. I don't know. And then I don't know what the third color is. I do want a 3 color. I found 3 colors just so much more fun than 2. I used to just be like 2 is easier for mana. Now I'm like, nah, 3 is just the way. It's just the way.
And there's so much mana fixing in Commander.
Yeah, I think I will rarely ever do 2 color again if I can avoid it. We'll see. I'm not going to hold myself to that, but I just, it's so much more boring. It's just more boring. Like, why 2 colors when you can have 3?
Fair.
So anyways, that was my magic for the week. It was fun. Good time.
Nice.
What's next? Just Star Wars we're going to go into, I think.
Yeah, we can do about who did it better, the first launch. Star Wars and Sorcery.
So what do you think? You're going to say Star Wars. I'm going to say Sorcery, and then we can argue.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Sounds good. So why did Star Wars do their release better? Which I will say they've done a lot of good things. They've done a lot of things right.
Yeah. I mean, they're very supportive of the LGSs. They're communicating directly with them about this shortage. And I think they're being relatively fair about it. In that it's basically stores are getting 1 to 3 boxes a month up until July. And that is to run limited events. And that is great so that people can get, because Star Wars was designed from the ground up as a limited experience. Like, you can play it limited.
It's very well designed for it.
Yeah. And I think it would be a shame and a disservice to the game if there weren't more boxes to be able to do that. Which is my concern, because it's been very interesting watching the singles, in that it was up really fast because of demand, and then started to come down, and just be like, all right, well, it's been a week. Like, we get it. People, the main people that wanted their cards got their cards. There's less demand. And then the boxes stopped. And the boxes are now, what, over $200?
Yeah, 200 plus tax, call it.
Yeah.
It's rough.
Which is a far cry from 90, where they were.
Yeah, for sure.
At 90, the EV was just nuts. So it makes sense. Like, if you bought 2 cases, the EV would probably round out to be about 200 a box, I'd bet.
Yeah, right now, definitely. Yeah. We're in the teeter-totter for sure.
Yes. Yeah.
Like the post-release, like balance of cards to boxes demand thing. The problem is being out of boxes. What is this, 30 plus a week? Is that where we're at? Something like that? 2 weeks?
A week and 6 days. Or a month and 6 days. Almost.
It's a month. Yeah, almost. Yeah, okay. Yeah, not long after release. Like, that is very fast to be out of boxes.
Yeah.
Like, I can't even think of another game that's had that issue.
And they were fairly confident that they had enough boxes.
I know, which is crazy. That means they blew out demand for sure. Actually, I wanted to step back real quick before we got into this conversation. I actually had a question for you based on the game you were talking about. How's the crowd? Is it maintaining? Is it reduced? Is it higher?
It dipped 1 week, but that was like the Tuesday after Easter.
Okay, holiday stuff.
Yeah. And then this past week, it was right back to normal, like 20-ish.
Yeah. Are you seeing the same
people
over. Or new people cycle in?
Like, same people plus new people.
Yeah, I was going to say the podcast crowd or whatever that you were...
They're not
you did the
there as often. One was there this week. But it's just normal non-TCG. It's a lot of non-TCG players, which is, I find, really interesting. There are like... what do we call them? Not immigrants. There's a term. Oh, what is
converts? Whatever.
Converts, converts from other games. Yeah. And but I think honestly, it's pretty impressive to have 20 plus when there are so many stores holding events for it right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's the store event population look like? Like other stores. How many stores in the city?
5.
There's 5 stores in the city running Star Wars?
In and around the city, yeah. At least.
Wow. Okay, that's good. That is really good.
Yeah. There's more there's more stores running this than there is Fab.
That doesn't surprise me at all. Yeah. It's unfortunate. It makes me sad in my soul, but it doesn't surprise me at all.
But I mean, really, you have to, as a store owner, you have to take a leap on new games, right?
Sure.
Like, and it's either you take a leap or you don't. And I think if you are a game store owner the likelihood that you are also a Star Wars fan
pretty high.
Pretty high, right?
And even if you're not, the likelihood that the people that come in your store are fans, pretty high.
Right. And you're pretty...
How many Star Wars games are in a typical game store
at
this given moment? Like at least 6 to 10.
Yeah. Miniature games, board games,
yeah,
card
exactly.
games.
Like, yeah.
And so you have that higher early adoption rate, right? And then you have boxes that most stores were selling. The lowest I saw was like 90, but like in store, usually like 110, right? MSRP is 120.
120 felt like the number.
Yeah. And that's good profit for stores.
Yeah.
Compared to the wholesale price.
Map and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's no map.
No, I mean, but yeah, for Fab or other games.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah. And so it causes demand. People come in asking for these boxes. Like, you're going to order more of set 2.
Yep.
Whatever you ordered of set 1, you're ordering more of for set 2.
Yep.
How much did they print of set 2? It looks good for the game. I know some stores...
I hope the print runs weren't defined before this release.
Yep.
God, I hope it wasn't. Do we know who their printer is?
It's in the U.S.
Okay. You don't know who it is, though?
No.
It's worth finding out. We should figure that out.
Yeah.
Curious.
Yeah. I mean, Asmodee's the distribution, but...
Yeah, I don't think they're printers. I think they use one of the big ones because they are a big printer of games. I just don't know who they work with. Yeah. So that's curious.
And the cards are good quality. I like the quality of them. But and even a lot of the playables now are starting to go up. Like the lower cost playables went from like $6-8 are now like 15-ish. Which has me a little nervous of new players getting into the game. It doesn't seem like it's a very easy on-ramp right now for new players.
Mm-hmm.
Now for kitchen tables, sure. Like you could build a ton of great decks and just play at home and have fun really cheap. Like there's still a ton of like 50-cent rares, couple cent commons. But then you have like your Vaders that are back at 100 and and your Bobas and your Lukes are all high, but you don't need those to have fun. Like the most expensive card I play in my Leia deck that's been doing very well is like I think $15 for the basic version. Like you can get fancier versions, but to build my deck, you could probably build it for around $50.
Right. It's an affordable game.
Yeah. There are affordable decks that can compete in the meta.
Yeah. I'm gonna take a hot take here just to switch us a little bit around and take a look at the other side a little bit. I personally think, and this is again a hot take that I'm probably gonna get skewered for, and I'm probably gonna be wrong long term, but I don't care. I personally think the early sorcery cards are more collectible than the early Star Wars cards. Does that make sense? So like your hyperspace foil card, which is $700 or whatever for the fancy ones, right? Yeah. I think they are less collectible as far as something that will hold in value, that will be held onto and loved and cherished. This is assuming sorcery stays around. Obviously, if it dies, it dies. Although honestly, I would still. Well, I think both run that risk. Like the chance of Star Wars dying is very possible too, right?
Yeah, sure. They lose the license.
I think they actually have very similar odds. Yeah, exactly. Of dying. Yeah,
well, so they would die from different things. Star Wars would die from losing the license. Sorcery would die from lack of interest.
I don't know. We've seen a lot of Star Wars games die from losing interest because they flub up on releases or whatever, you know. That's why they had to assure everyone that they had 7 sets in the works, right? There's a reason they preambled all that stuff because they have a history of flubbing and killing them. So there's reasons that Star Wars could die, different reasons that Sorcery could die. But I think if I was going to put side by side the thing I'd want on my shelf 10 years from now, regardless of either of them being alive, I'm going to go with the art from Sorcery because I love some of the art and a classic sense of loving the art, not just for the game and the good feel about the game. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's my hot take. I think it's more beautiful shelf art. We'll put it that way as opposed to collectible, because collectible, you're right, that's a loaded term. There's a lot of different ways to interpret that. But as far as collectible for me, which is shelf art, beautiful thing on my shelf, whether I care about it or not from a game standpoint, I would call Sorcery better. How do you fare on that? Do you think you would feel equally strongly about the hyperfoil versions?
Yeah, I mean, I've struggled.
The real fancy ones,
the showcases.
Yeah, showcase. Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, the showcase foil. Sorry.
I am struggling to sell my showcases. I probably should sell some of them, but
it is the hot time.
Yeah,
but you don't want to.
Mm-mm.
You love them deeply.
Mm-hmm. But I don't feel the need to collect all of them because they are very pricey.
Well, yeah, that's insane, right? And right now, in particular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do think if there is not, I'm hoping that there's a reprint of set 1 eventually.
So, but let's just walk through it because this is how I envision it. 10 years from now, game's dead. Something happened. Who cares?
Yeah.
Do you still have your Leia on the shelf or whatever your best showcase
Leia,
is?
yes. The others, probably not.
Probably not. Okay. I'm looking at the art. The art is pretty good on those. Like, I'm not going to dispute the look is pretty. I could see Star Wars fans keeping that somewhere. You know what I mean? Like, I could definitely see it. And I'm a Star Wars fan, but some of these characters I don't really vibe with.
Sure, exactly.
Other people do.
And that's why you see Leia and Han and Chewie and Palpatine and Boba at the top.
Yeah. Plus, I think their art's a little bit better. Like, I think Boba and Han and Leia, Emperor's a little bit cartoon, like comic booky, but those three, they feel like more art pieces than most of the other.
Oh, Boba's gorgeous. It's not only the best.
Boba is like really well done. Yeah. But like, if you look at, was it the Grand Inquisitor? I feel looks a little bit too comic booky,
right? And he's
Grand
one.
Admiral Thrawn.
Yeah, Grand Inquisitor is one that I have. And I plan on keeping him because I want to play him as my villain hero right now. If I were to build another deck, it would probably be him. The other showcases I have are Hera, which I think she, like, set 2 or 3 or maybe even 4. One of those sets, she's going to pop off and be like a top leader. Because she only gets better as there's more Spectre cards that come into the... Because what her ability is you can play any Spectre and avoid their aspect costs. So you have a wide range of cards to work with.
Yeah, that's one to hold on to for sure. Yeah.
And Grand Inquisitor is just a red-black aggro in your face. It's a Tommy. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then I have IG-88, who is the cheapest one, so I don't really. I probably could sell him, but I don't know. I think the showcases will all. I think there will be significant difference between the most in demand and the least demand, but I think they will all float up over time until July. Until there's a reprint.
I just realized that they had, I don't know how you say his name, Chirrut Imwe, one with the Force guy.
Yeah.
And one with the Force from the Andor show, whatever. Yep. It wasn't the show, it was the movie. Rogue One. Man, I love that guy in those.
Yeah.
I would keep this guy.
I played against him on Tuesday.
He's really good. Or he's really cool. I don't know if he's good.
He's bad.
He is bad. Okay. Of course, I love the bad guy. The one that's terrible.
Yeah. He's not great. He has blue and white, though.
I was like, blue and white. Okay, that might be my rebel leader if I was going to have a deck. Or was it the two sons or whatever it's called?
Twin sons, yeah.
Yeah, twin sons.
Yeah, I need to build those decks.
Yeah, I mean, it's all good. Yeah. All right, so who did it better on release?
Star Wars.
I would say Star Wars did a better job at involving stores, which was their goal.
Yes.
I don't think Sorcery really was trying to involve stores, actually.
No, and I think it's it's like fun to talk about, right? But I think you're comparing. It's a little bit of comparing apples and oranges. They're trying to do different things.
Yeah. The only things that are similar is they both came out. They both became very limited early.
They both only have one set.
And they both have a new wave, quote unquote, coming in like June. Like they both do.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's really the length of the comparison.
New set coming in July. We don't know when the next.
No, they said with the new set they're going to release some of the beta. I mean, some of the whatever they're calling it.
The first set.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought that wasn't that in the announcement? Am I just mixing it up with Sorcery? Because Sorcery, I thought they said they had another wave coming. Did they not? Oh God, Star Wars.
Well, that wave. What have you done? That wave is what's being distributed
trickling?
Now. Yeah.
I thought they had more coming after the trickle.
It would be another print, is what it sounds like to
me. Jeez, that's bad.
Now that's just rumors. So
I think Star Wars. I mean, I
haven't seen any confirm yet of a second.
Because that's painful. Like, it took Sorcery a lot longer to run out, although people weren't very happy that it was all 13 Covenant. I get that from a store standpoint, but again, they weren't really trying to do organized play or stores. This is a kitchen table game explicitly, you know? So it ran out, but it took a lot longer, and box prices are high. You know, their collectibles are
mad whales, high though in Star Wars. Like, I know there is in Sorcery too, I'm sure.
Yeah, I was just saying. But I don't know. I'm looking at some of these card prices.
Yeah, I've been in the buy sell trade Facebook groups.
Yeah,
and there are some people that are opening still at the $200 price point opening.
Oh yeah, at 200, the whales will open stupid amounts. Yeah. Well, and if the EV remains good, that supply will be.
You just have to open enough.
That supply will be shredded. If the EV, the actual average, is positive for opening,
because cards were trending down and boxes were trending up. Exactly. And I was like, oh well, then they'll stop. The boxes will stop going up.
It hasn't gotten there yet for the average. For someone that can open 20 boxes, it hasn't hit that equilibrium yet.
Yeah,
it will, but it hasn't yet.
Yeah.
So Sorcery went through that moment, and it lasted a good 6 months. Yeah. Like, it was a while of people trying to get the alpha foils and then the beta foils and all that nonsense. It was out of control. I don't know. It's a tough one. It's a tough one.
But then you have the hyperspace foil legendaries, right? The unit cards and the events. Those are getting pretty pricey. Like the Vader, the hyperspace foil Vader I have, is $380. That was it's up $100 from last week.
That's a foil, you said?
The foil hyperspace Vader. Yeah.
Oh yeah, look at that. Oof. It's a good card.
Yeah. I don't think it's sold at that.
Yeah,
no, it sold at $325.
Yeah, I feel like this is a little baloney. Like, yes, it did sell at $325. I'm not denying that, but it was one sale. The last one before that was $250. So that's a crazy jump that I don't really buy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see that holding up. But that said,
that's what boxes. And that's what I was saying last podcast, is I didn't see things. But that was also right before the boxes jumped.
Yeah.
So I think they jumped at Tuesday or something.
Yeah, it's really hard to say. It's still also very early. I mean, 1 month post-release. Yeah. Don't get lost in the hype, people. Please don't buy these cards at these prices.
No. I've sold what I'm going to sell.
Do what Tommy says and does, and sell into the hype.
But the one thing I did notice at locals is ever since I've opened everything and got my trade binder ready, I've been bringing it and offering it to people if they're looking for anything. And I didn't get many people wanting to look through it. Last week, there was a line of people looking through
it. Because they can't. Yeah, I see that. I can see that. Yeah, that's cool though. That is one thing that's really cool about it. You don't get that with Sorcery because you don't have in-store stuff. Now, I have done that with people that I've played with, but that's like in a kitchen table, literally.
Yeah, like one guy remembered that I had a trade binder. He was like, "Hey, do you have your trade binder with you?" And I was like, "Yeah, here, you look through it." And then so he was looking through it, pulling out a couple cards, and then someone else behind him was like, "Do you mind if I look through it?" And then, "Do you mind if I look through it?" And I sold like $300 worth of cards.
Nice. Yeah. That's really good. Yeah.
And I still have like a ton of trade stuff to go through. And I have more that I'm bringing this Tuesday that people have already messaged me and texted me about that they want.
I just gave you a box full of cards too.
So I've pretty much, I think I'm like $50 away from having 0 into the game.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah. While keeping the full playset and 5 showcases, I think I'm all right with that.
Yeah, that's a win.
It was a lot of work. It was a lot of work going through it all and sorting. And
how much bulk do you have?
3 BCW 4-row boxes.
Is that 60,000 cards?
No.
4 roads. 4,000 times 3, 12,000 cards. Is that 12,000
cards? They're not near full.
Oh, okay.
No.
So it's probably 10,000 cards.
Yeah, probably.
It's not much better, Tommy. I'm sorry. That's a lot of cards. Oh, ouch. Well, I mean, not ouch. That's how the game goes. But
it's not all bulk though. There's still a bunch of good stuff in there.
Sure. I hate bulk. There's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of cards.
It is.
And you have to do it by hand. There's no app, is there?
No.
Oh, God.
And I logged it all in Collector by hand.
Oh, you are insane, dude. I don't know how you do that. Jeez. Yeah. That's insane. Oh, my God.
Oh, you remember that Hyperspace Luke you pulled when we were playing?
No, but I believe you.
It's over 100. It's over $100 now.
Nice. Yeah. I pulled something good. Woohoo! Yeah. It never happens.
It went up. It was like 34 when I got back and logged it, and then it's gone up a lot. I think people are realizing how rare these hyperspace legendaries actually are.
You were saying that before. Tommy was on top of it. He's like, no one realizes it yet.
It's one of those perks you get for opening up a ton. Is you just learn how rare some things actually are.
You're like, oh, this is once in a case, twice in a case, whatever.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the amount of like hyperspace legendaries I pulled, I think it's like 1 in. I don't want to get this wrong. I think it's like 1 in 30 boxes is a hyperspace legendary.
I could see that.
And then there's 16 legendaries. So the likelihood of pulling that one.
The particular one, yeah.
They have it on their website.
I have a question. Are you going to get bored spiking your local every week?
Foil hyperspace rare legendary is 1 in 50 packs. So 1 in 2 boxes.
Yeah.
A little over 2 boxes.
Yeah.
And then to get the specific one is 1 in 16.
Okay. So was that 2.5 cases?
Yeah.
Because there's 6, right? In a case?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, there's 6 boxes in a case, so there's 3 in. So you'll get 3 hyperspace legendaries in a case, supposedly, or in
Yeah, it's 1 in 6. No, I mean it's the particular one is every 2.5 cases.
Yeah, that sounds right.
That's what you just said. I just did the math on what you said. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So any particular legendary, Anyways.
Yeah.
So that's
it's never a guarantee. It's just,
of course, there's variance on that. Yeah. So double the number of boxes to guarantee 1.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I don't think I will because people are getting better.
Okay. I was wondering. I was like, are people going to catch up to you, or how's this going as far as the competitive nature of the game, the variance in the game?
It's definitely the pilot. Okay. Pilot weighs a lot.
Skill-based game heavily.
I'd probably say it's 60-40.
60%
skill, 40% deck. Like your deck can win you games for sure.
Okay, gotcha.
Especially certain decks. It depends on what deck.
Yeah, and there's like meta and counters and
like Sabine, you can just go right. It the deck plays itself.
Got it.
And then you have decks like Boba, where you have to be a little more sequence right, and same with Leia. Because if you have to kind of predict how your opponent's going to play out their next turn, and how much time you have before you need to trigger your attacks, kind of a thing. And make sure that you always get priority as Leia, so you can always double swing to help you keep priority. But yeah, I don't think I'll get bored because there are some good players, and
Apparently not. You're crushing them all. Crushing them every week.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've also like there were a couple games like against the guy who was playing Andor. We played a second match because I won in like 10 minutes or something. So we had time for a second one, and he won that one.
So, gotcha. And you guys are still doing best of one, which is not the standard, right? That you did it to save time. Yeah. Right. So okay. Yeah. So you're probably not actually 3-0 then.
I'm just on a hot streak.
Well, you're on a hot streak, and you probably have something people don't know how to play against.
No, there is another Leia player.
Oh, okay. I was because at first you were like totally off meta with that.
Yeah, and then there like, whoa. Yeah, and then another one has shown up.
So people know by now or should.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Because when it's a best of 3, if you're winning the first round, that doesn't necessarily mean you would have won the second. Once people get a glimpse of how the deck works.
Right. Best of 1 definitely favors aggro.
Got it.
For sure.
Well, you're kicking ass, taking names.
Yeah, it's been fun. Yeah, but it is interesting how many people like aren't TCG players that are in it as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I lost my sorcery buddy to Star Wars, I think.
Oh no.
It's okay. It's fine. I'm waiting for the next set for sorcery. Yeah. Like I'm not like, oh, I gotta play it right now because I've played the heck out of my decks. I'm okay with them. I also don't feel like building new decks. Like I'm not inspired until the new cards come.
When is
so
it?
I'm just it's soon. It's not soon. I think it's like end of year. I think it's Q4, Q3. I can't remember, but it's end of year, but and they'll release more of beta, a little wave of beta with that. I think I said June earlier, but it's actually end of year. And that's fine because at that point, everyone's going to care more about the new box than the old box. And I'm honestly, there's plenty of affordable cards, like plenty. you can afford almost all these cards. Not all of them. I know some of them are getting pricey and you're getting priced out, but they aren't exactly that critical. They're like the cores and stuff. You can live without them. You don't need them. They definitely are not the end all be all to winning the game. In fact, I think most of the competitive decks cut all their cores because they were like, yeah, actually, I prefer the space to be used for something more useful.
Yeah.
So it's not like an end of the world, but there is some stuff that's like, you can't bling out your deck. I'll put it that way. There's some cards that are just gone that are in foil. That it's like, sorry, not happening.
Yeah. So, I wonder if showcases will get there.
Yes. I would assume so. I don't know. Again, we don't know their actual print run, and obviously demand's been very, very high. But this is one thing I am curious about for Star Wars. Will it end up being something where there's people bought just a crap ton because they were Star Wars fanatics, and they slowly release it to the market as it gets super out of control?
Oh, like I'm sure
if boxes hit 400, would we see new supply hit the market from people's closets, basically?
I don't know how many people actually hit boxes.
I don't know either.
I think because
the thing is, there's Star Wars fans out there that do this. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be McDonald's toys. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm curious if there are any of those out there who are just going to look at this and be like, well, I could sell half of this at that price. You know what I mean? And they're like, then I have a 0 cost basis and I still have half a closet full of this stuff. I don't know that anyone did that, especially coming off of the highs of the bubble, the 2020 TCG bubble.
Right. I think just with this release and how confident, I think the lack of supply really caught people off guard. And I think people were still just ripping. And
it's fair.
Because I wouldn't have ripped everything. If I knew, I wouldn't have ripped all that I did.
I didn't rip everything.
Well, you kept the box, right?
Yeah, I kept the box, which is exactly half.
Yeah. I mean, I bought. I have I do have 2 boxes on my shelf. But
I could have bought more, but I was like, nah.
Those 2 boxes are not going to enter the market because those 2 boxes are for the shelf. I think even if it hit 400, I wouldn't let them go.
If it hit 400, I'd probably sell the 1 box I have. I bought it at like 110 or something, like 400. Come on. I don't. And for me, that box doesn't mean anything. It's just a thing on my shelf.
Does.
Yeah, exactly. No, totally. Yeah, I get why you would.
Yeah.
For me, I'm just like, I'll take that money. That's a win. I can walk away.
Like when my sorcery came in and I sold it for how many X I paid for it. I was just like, cool.
Exactly. Yep. Gone. Fine. No problem. Yep. Yep.
I'll pick it up at beta if I want to. Never picked it up at beta.
Yeah.
But that's because you have it, and if I ever want to play Sorcery, I can just be like, John, let's play Sorcery.
That's true. I have all the cards. I did finally sell all of my cards. I don't think I maybe have 1 or 2 cards left in stock of Sorcery. Didn't actually take that long. I would say under 6 months before I was completely out of stock on the stuff that I was willing to sell.
Yeah.
So now I could go through some boxes and find stuff I have enough duplicates of that I could sell, but it's just like not worth the effort.
Yeah.
Do that in 5 years when it actually is super valuable, if it's still around. So I did do the Rudy kit.
Oh, nice. You have some more boxes coming.
I did, yeah, because it was just worth it. The amount of value versus the box prices at the time, because he kept them at the value he said he was going to keep them at before the boxes price or spiked because of the out of print or out of Team Covenant stock. I'm curious if that was something that was coordinated at all and or intentional at all.
Because those are very close timings.
The timing was insanely perfect. And it may be one of those things like Team Covenant has an agreement with Sorcery that they have basically to demand supply up until they say no. And maybe they said no to help support Rudy because they kind of screwed him on the timing, because this was supposed to happen months ago. Yeah. So it might have been one of those things where they're like, okay, let's just, and who knows, but they don't seem to be playing those games, but also we've seen people that are not playing games play games before. So I don't know. I don't think they're managing it that much. I think it was just natural, but there's always a chance that something like that actually happened. And,
sure.
And it was to help, basically backstop Rudy, because they screwed him on the mats in the alpha, right? They finally got those to him. They had to reprint them. It's insane. It just got stolen. Somebody in shipping just stole it from a port or something.
Have they ever shown up on eBay or anything?
No, he's always every time he talks about it, he's like, if anyone ever sees those, like, send me a message. Like, if they ever show up anywhere, send me a message. He'll hear about it if they do show up. That's the thing. Like, what a terrible thing to steal if it was stolen.
Right?
Maybe it was one of those things they backed a forklift into it and they're just like, oops, and kicked it off the dock.
Yeah.
Because things like that do happen. They're just like, oops, it just never showed up.
Yeah.
We're not paying insurance on this.
Yeah.
So that sort of stuff does happen. But yeah, those disappeared. And then on this, I think he was supposed to get it like 2 months before he did, so he could get all the kits together and everything. And he didn't get the special art card until really late. And so then he had to rush them through the processing for his, because he graded all of them. Yeah. So again, I don't know the coordination. This is complete speculation, but it did seem like he was getting pretty salty there as the boxes were just kind of sitting with Team Covenant and prices were going down. And he's like, damn it, my kit's going to be worthless. So he kept it at like a reasonable price. I don't remember what it was. And the price has gone up since then. I haven't even looked at if that graded card is worth anything. I'm sure it's worth something, but I don't know what it's worth. It's cool art. It's that old school. I think it's the same guy. I can't remember for sure if it's oh God, what is his name? I always forget his name. Frazetta. It's either Frazetta or the other one that's very, very popular. Is it Jeff? It might be Jeff. I can't remember. It's one of the big popular artists, but the art is phenomenal. It's gorgeous. The Amazonians.
Yeah. Lots of skin.
Oh yeah, a little bit. This is the equivalent of 1980s waifu.
I showed it to Jillian and she was like, "Oh my!"
Yeah, waifu before waifu. Let me pull it off my shelf here. I won't forget. Let's see if it has the author on it. Oh no, it's not. It's Vallejo. I actually don't know who that is.
We watched the Rudy trailer for it together.
Oh
it was hilarious.
Oh yeah, with him sweating.
Yeah. I was dying.
That was really good, yeah. But yeah, really, the thing that made me pull the trigger was the prices jumping. Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, 3 boxes at below market prices when we know it's out of stock. Like this is the last wave until the end of the year. I'm like, I'm getting that.
Yeah.
So, but this is nice too. And the little
we have a box we can try limited then.
That's why I was like, then I have some extra boxes, because I was really kind of annoyed that I only had 1 beta and 1 alpha left.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to open either of these, and I can't get them anymore. So this is my fault. I kept assuming Team Covenant would have it, and that I would have some sort of market hint that it was about to go out before it went out, and be able to buy a couple of boxes. And I got lazy and stopped paying attention.
I mean, that happens. It happens
It did.
to
It
a lot
snuck
of
up on
games.
me. Snuck up on me so hard.
I mean,
Usually I'm
think
pretty
about
good
it.
about things I want and getting them last minute. Even if I have to pay a little bit more, it did not this time. Did not.
It is funny how that's happening in like across a lot of games, I feel.
I don't
Like
know what the
one,
story is,
Star
but
Wars,
somebody's
right,
figured
is
it
the
out.
obvious one.
Yeah.
Pokemon is also the same things happening. Like boxes are stopping. So it's always funny because TCG player spikes because stores are out of boxes of like Sword and Shield right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the price will go up to like 170, 180 a box. And then it'll get stuck there for a bit because the smart people know that it's still available on Pokemon Center.
Mm-hmm.
So people will go over to Pokemon Center and buy it
Do the
for
arbitrage,
MSRP, which is like 144 because they honored the MSRP of Sword and Shield on Sword and Shield till it sold out. I think Lost Origins is still available, so that might be one of the next ones. But it's in that situation where, let me see.
Oh yeah, just to throw back real quick to what I was saying. This is one of the classics. He did Conan the Barbarian art.
Oh, yep.
No, yeah, he's sense. That guy. Yeah, I thought he was one of the older ones, but I didn't recognize the name. So yeah, he is. Sorry, back to what you were saying.
So like Lost Origins booster box, right? Let me see. Is it still available? Yep, still available on Pokemon Center for $143.64. Look at it on TCG Player, $175 plus $2 shipping.
Well, 143 plus taxes. What? Because that's pre-tax and shipping on Pokemon Center. So go try to put it in your cart and look at what it is. Because that's probably like 160. You're probably not making any money.
No, you're not making money, but it's cheaper to buy for the shelf. You're not arbitraging. You're not buying on one.
Yeah, I was gonna say it sounds like it's the same price, honestly, as if it. Well, okay, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. It's
about a $30 price difference.
Because that's the fee for TCG Player.
Right.
So the sellers are essentially that exact price.
Yeah,
that's what they're getting. Yeah. Got it.
Yeah. But then you have boxes that have disappeared from Pokemon Center, like Fusion Strike, which is now up to $235 and holding strong.
Yeah.
And that was like what, like $80, $90? It was a joke set a couple years ago, 2 years ago. Same with Chilling Rain. That
was more than 2 years ago, man.
3 years ago.
Yeah, it's been some time. I'm pretty sure for Fusion Strike in particular, that one went up. It wasn't the first wave. It wasn't Evolving Skies, but it was in that like mid wave that started to go up.
Well, Evolving Skies is $700.
I know. Evolving is the one that was always insane, though. Yeah. Fusion Strike was the surprise insane one.
And Chilling Rain people hated, and now it's $220.
Yeah.
So I think what's happening is what always happens in Pokemon. It's nothing new. People look at the things that are slowly about to go and grab it then, opposed to the things that are dirt cheap when they're dirt cheap because they're boring and nobody wants them. Yep. Like you look at Obsidian Flames is $90 a box, Scarlet and Violet's $90 a box, which is up actually. It was in the high 80s, and then so people just. But you have to also look and remember that these Scarlet and Violet boxes, the MSRP is in 161. Like it's a higher MSRP.
What is recent Scarlet Violet set? Doesn't have to be the most recent, but one of the recent ones. Like
most recent's actually doing really well. The most recent
one is that?
Temporal Forces. It's at 103.
Okay, and then what was trying to think what I wanted to compare it to. Going through, I'm using hometown.
Yeah.
TCG's comparative cardboardfinance.com.
Yeah.
Definitely check that out if you haven't. It's a very good tool. Let's see. I'm trying to find some things to compare it to that's worthwhile to see how well it's actually doing versus. Let's try. What is the recent Lorcana set? Floodborn? I think it's Floodborn.
Floodborn's the one that's doing the best, I've heard.
Wow. It's crazy. Floodborn's over 1 million in sales, 11,000 boxes.
It's been out much longer.
I'm doing release plus 30.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So same time frames. Yeah. Has it been less than 30 days for either of those or for Temporal Forces?
It may have been.
Well, let's just do pre-release then.
Yeah.
Okay. Pre-release it did better. Oh, no, actually, Jesus. Wow, this is crazy. All right, sorry. So Rise of Floodborne, 3,500 boxes, 500,000 sale in pre-release.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Lorcana. Temporal Forces, 6,800. So almost double the number of boxes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sold. Total value, 563. So only 63,000 more, even though double the boxes. So that means like little bundles and little things are the only things selling the most, I guess. That's crazy. Lorcana is out of control.
Yeah, there's more people on my Tuesday night when I go play Star Wars.
There's
crazy. Pokemon going on, and there's Lorcana, and there's way more people playing Lorcana.
What's another set that's not like, I don't know Lorcana that well. I just wanted to get into this topic a little bit because I think
the newest set is Into the Inklands.
Into the Inkland. I doubt that's even out yet. I don't think that data is even available. Is it?
It's out. So you can do the pre-release, yeah.
Yeah, do the pre-release against Temporal Forces or something else.
Temporal Forces makes sense.
Fuck that, dude. Lorcana crushes it.
Yeah, I believe it.
14,000 boxes against 6,800.
Now something
1.2 million versus 50 or 560.
Something you have to remember though. TCG Player is probably the main source where people are buying Lorcana, compared to Pokemon, where a lot more people buy it off of TCG Player. So those numbers aren't reflected.
I
promise you, every set you have P Football Pete on eBay selling them for dirt prices. Okay. Every set. And then there are all these like paywall Patreon stuff with Pokemon that you can get it way cheaper that a lot of people do.
That's fair. I still think that there's a lot of boxes go to sell. Maybe pre-release isn't the right move then, just because I don't think that's for pre-release. I get that. That kind of makes sense.
Still, like you have all these
Lorcana crushes it.
Sure, and I
and how much of this stuff exists for Lorcana too?
What? Not as much.
Influencers, Patreon.
Not as much.
I would doubt that, because was it Mr. Beast's girlfriend doing Lorcana videos?
I think that just started.
That started months ago, dude. That started like set 1.
Oh.
Yeah, well, I think it exists. It's definitely not as much because Pokemon's been around for a billion years, right? So, and even if it is, it's not as big because they just haven't had time to collect, followers, etc.
I think also there's a lot more.
It's crazy.
Well, one, there's definitely still more Pokemon collectors than there are Lorcana collectors, and you have. With Pokemon, I see a lot of money moving to those older sets, and people don't really feel a rush to buy the new set. Does that make sense? There's not in Pokemon. There's not as much of a rush to open the new cards as there is. A lot of people prefer to open the older cards.
Yeah, but you're just looking at sales, and we're talking store sales. We're talking anything else. Pokemon's dead, quote unquote. Obviously, it's not.
No.
And Lorcana is not. From a store standpoint, it's pretty clear what you want your big. Put it this way.
Oh yeah, if I was a store, I would be buying more boxes.
Forces you to take Pokemon to get Lorcana.
Yeah.
That alone is pretty unprecedented. I've never heard of Pokemon being forced on people.
Yeah, certainly wasn't the case a while ago.
Yeah, for the last few years when we've been involved in this stuff. So. Yeah, so it's a different era. Now, is Pokemon
greedy
dead?
when fearful?
Yeah, exactly.
Was that be greedy when people are fearful?
My math is still the same. This is probably your safest bet buy, right? It seems easy.
I mean, any opportunity I have to buy a Pokemon booster box for $80, doesn't matter the set.
Yeah,
I'm grabbing it.
Yeah, $80, especially now with the new pricing. Yep. Like $80 is pretty decent back in the day, and now it's like 75 was really the number you were trying to get to, is what I remembered.
That's almost impossible.
No. Back in the day before the price increase.
Yeah.
I was like, if I got 75, I was happy. It wasn't usually the lowest price that happened, but I didn't care. It was low enough, and if I held it, it's fine. And it worked out with all of those. Now this, I think 80 is probably the 80, 85 is probably a nice, fine area to get if you can get it.
Yeah. It took
because these are what was the MSRP on these? 120 or something?
What?
For the new Pokemon since the price
161.
Oh yeah, but it never sells for that. I said MSRP, you're right. But what's the standard
95 to 100
sometimes.
95 100, yeah,
which is what they were before. No one accepted the new price.
Nope.
That killed them. That and Lorcana simultaneously. That was a double header.
Yep. So stores are paying more, and that's about it. God. That's all that changed.
They killed it. Pokemon's dead. Calling it now.
Be greedy when others are fearful.
Yeah, it's not dead. No. It is not dead. There's no financial advice here, but
when I look at my shelf, I am never scared of the.
I was gonna say, expecting Pokemon to be dead is a silly maneuver, especially for a game that's been out for what, 6 whole months.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. But I do think it ate a lot of the money.
Oh, sure.
The Kid Packs versus Pokemon versus Mickey Mouse. I think Mickey Mouse stole the dollars.
For now.
For now.
They're not kids playing Lorcana though. When I go to the store, is it all?
Sure, but I'm talking about the easy buys, the off the Walmart shelf. You know what I mean? Like that chunk of money, which is a huge chunk of money.
Yes, it is. Yes,
you know, that all went to Disney because and that's the game where Pokemon might be like, ooh, we're sweating here. We need to up our game a bit.
You know, it's another really smart thing Lorcana did. They came out with PvE. They announced it and then they just they announced it and then just put it out.
Oh, they did. Oh, I didn't know it was out. I knew they announced it. I didn't realize it was out.
Or no, is it the next set that's coming?
I thought it was coming up. I didn't know much beyond that. Still crazy.
Yeah.
We'll see where all this is next year. Well, let's get to year 3.
It's in Ursula's Return. The next set.
Okay, yeah, that's the next set.
It brings in Kanto characters and a new cooperative game to the TCG. I mean, if you're trying to get new people to play, PvE is pretty good. So,
especially playing with your kid.
Yeah.
You don't have to beat them. You can play together against a bad guy
and win with them. Yeah.
Yep. That's absolutely the way. And I think Lorcana has been targeting that kid market like fantastically. I know your OP and in-store stuff is, probably more adults because people actually want to play the game and enjoy the game mechanics. But I can't imagine that the majority of their revenue is not going to kids,
Oh, sure.
Or coming from kids at a store, Walmart, whatever. Say, mommy, I want that Disney thing, and the nerd that has their 5-year-old kid, 10-year-old kid, I don't know what age this targets, but young kid, and they're like, let's play a game. Here's an acceptable, Disney is a safe brand. I know I'm not going to see blood and guts or anything else.
Yeah.
Which
is something I wonder if Star Wars ever does end up going to the big stores.
I could see it. Assuming this gets good, gets big. You know what the real question is? And well, I don't know if this is a real question or really valid or worth even considering because I don't know how the back end on this works for these producers and distro and all this stuff. But Asmodee basically owns this game. They're licensing the IP. Disney owns the IP and is licensing to Asmodee. Say Star Wars just continues to do exceptionally well, becomes this really solid thing, lasts for long enough. I don't know, 3rd year contract renewal, right? They have 7 sets, but they have to renew the IP. And Disney just says, how about we buy the game off of you? Or something like that. Or maybe they combine it with Lorcana, Ravensburger gets to buy it. I don't know how that would work because, again, they're doing these third parties.
Or Pokemon bought back.
But basically, Disney basically saying, these are games. We want to have this as a core thing. It does drive revenues, sales to the shows, et cetera, right? It does play along with our release schedules. We want a tighter control of it, right? And just sucks it all in. Like, I could absolutely see that happening. I don't know how that actually works, though, like ownership and how, does that mean Asmodee gets $1 billion check? I doubt that. How does that work? And does that end up becoming contentious and then they can't get the IP again? Like they asked for too much. Disney's like, no, we'll just kill it. We'd rather kill it than buy you off.
The licensing aspect is the one thing that does scare me about it.
Yeah,
it's unavoidable.
The same thing for Lorcana. Like it's Ravensburger. Like that could happen there too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if Disney has any interest in taking any of this stuff in though. They do like owning everything. Disney owns a ton of stuff. We talk about like Pokemon being a large IP and all that stuff, which is true, but Disney is
they buy Hasbro.
Yeah, Disney is a large international media conglomerate, which is a whole different tier than an IP.
Yep.
Like, it's 1,000x bigger, something like that. I don't know. It's ridiculous, though.
You think they'd ever buy Hasbro?
No. Nah, I doubt it. I don't see any reason why they would need to. Like, what would be there for them?
Toys.
Yeah, but the IPs under Hasbro aren't really that attractive, I don't think. Was it like He-Man?
Oh, yeah. You wouldn't be buying it for the IPs. You'd be buying it for...
For what? Toy production?
Yeah.
They all
They
those use the same Chinese, whatever manufacturer. Like, I don't think it's produced directly by Hasbro. No. It's a contractor, I'm sure. Yeah, I don't know what you're buying as Disney.
You're buying Magic, and then you're making animated shows with all the Magic.
Yeah, that's like it. But does Magic fit? It could. Yeah, I guess it could. Theoretically, they bought Star Wars, but they rather go for the big boys like Marvel.
Magic's
and
the big boy in the space. If they get more interested in the TCG space,
it's the big boy in the space from card production and sales. I don't think from an IP standpoint. Like, if anything, they would target Pokemon. I think Pokemon fits their MO for
sure
consolidation over anything else.
I don't know if they can afford Pokemon.
They can afford Pokemon.
You think?
Oh yeah, yeah. Last time I looked, and I'm pulling these numbers out of my butt, but I believe Pokemon was like a multi-billion-dollar IP, right? So like billions, huge.
Yeah.
But Disney is like billions a quarter. Like, Disney owns 1/5 of
billion.
all media. Yeah, I was like, Disney owns 1/5 of all media on the planet.
Yeah.
Like, not quite, but also not far off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like ridiculous. So, yeah, it could. It's just, would it be worth it? And I think the answer is, if they wanted it, because they would pump it up. They'd add it into Disney Plus. All the shows would be on there. You know what I mean? Like, they do their thing, which they know how to do. Mass cross media marketing and all that stuff. That's one thing Disney's very, very good at. Mm-hmm. So, but they don't tend to do that too much. Marvel and Star Wars being what I would consider an exception.
Yeah. I mean, we got Marvel Universe Beyond coming. So.
Yep. That's true. Maybe there is something there. I mean, I'd never say never. But I still don't see that being it, because they're lend IP all the time, clearly.
Yeah. Do we know when that's coming out?
The Star Wars? I mean, the Marvel? Next year sometime. I don't remember when.
That might be my first collector case order.
Marvel. Yeah. I can see you doing that. It'd probably be worth it if it's the right jam, like it feels good and something you want to play. Yeah. You're gonna get the Commander decks?
I want play boxes.
That's fair.
If there's no...
If it's Lord of the Rings expensive again, you gonna do it? If there's a collector Commander set, it's 5 deck.
I may.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like Spider-Man.
It all depends on what products.
Who it is?
Because if it's the Assassin's Creed Universe Beyond booster thing, no, I'm out.
I think it's gonna be Lord of the Rings 2.0.
I hope so.
Like, they have to. It's freaking Marvel. If they don't do Lord of the Rings treatment, they screwed it up. Because Assassin's Creed version,
and then a special
Marvel
edition
is
version,
a whole different world. You know what I mean? Like, Lord of the Rings and Marvel are much closer.
But then why did they make this whole Beyond pack, Beyond booster? For what? Just Assassin's Creed?
No, I think it's for the small video game IPs. I think they have a handful of these coming through.
Well, they didn't do it for Fallout.
Well, Fallout was the first one of the video game IPs. You know what I mean?
That's true.
That was their test, right? Because they're testing different things. Yeah. They're testing like movie IPs. They're testing board or like game, like Dungeons and Dragons, Warhammer, etc. Tabletop gaming IP.
If they do DC,
now they're doing video game IP. And I think Marvel is the 2.0 of Lord of the Rings. So I expect it to be similar. Special serialized Super Hulk.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be similar. I think they're going to do a lot of it. Maybe not a One Ring, but something rare and awesome.
It'll be play boosters instead of draft boosters, then.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, but play is basically a draft. It's draft plus, obviously.
Yeah. But I'd probably do what I did with Lord of the Rings and get one of the collector boxes for the shelf, and then a bunch of play boxes. Yeah, I just got a case of draft boxes. Those are cards I want to play with. And I would want to build a cube with after.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. Because that's my plan for the Lord of the Rings cards, is to eventually have a cube of just Lord of the Rings.
Nice. That'd be cool.
I don't know. I drafted that set a ton, and it just plays so well. Like the interactions and stuff is just, I don't know, it hits. But I hope they do. If they don't do play boosters in Marvel, I'll be pretty disappointed.
Oh, well, that's fair. I see what you mean. They may like, it's possible they don't. Yeah, it depends on if they feel like making the set, you know what I mean? So it's draftable. Yeah, they might not. I guess it's possible. But like I said, I think they will treat it big like they did Lord of the Rings, which they went all out with that.
Yeah.
Because it's such a big IP, it would be crazy. Like Assassin's Creed is nowhere close to Marvel.
No.
From an IP standpoint, right? If they gave it the same treatment, I'd be like, you're dumb. You wasted a golden opportunity here. You're very, very dumb. You should have done more.
And then we got Final Fantasy, which will be interesting.
Yeah, I feel like Final Fantasy will be like Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
Even though it's a big IP, it's much bigger video game IP. I still think they'll probably stick to that kind of range of products.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. I will say Magic is still popping off like crazy. I am constantly seeing people that are clearly new entrants into EDH. There's all these posts of people are like, this is like my first deck or my second deck or what. I just learned how, blah, blah, blah. So basically, I think they got pulled in by an IP and they're like, oh,
I told you it was going to work.
Yeah. And it is like, it is crazy how much it's working. At least it looks like it from my perspective.
Because the funnel's there, right? You have the IP that brings you in, and then you go to any store, right?
Yep.
You'll find people to play with.
Yep. And they're just like, oh, so how do you do this? And they hear the rules and they're like, oh, that sounds fun. Let me build a deck around my favorite IP character or whatever.
Yep. And then you have your favorite IP character, and then you're starting to play some games. Maybe you got a pre-con, and then you're just like, oh, what about these?
You can do
that? You can do that? There's a card that does this? And
how do you, what? Yeah.
And then you go buy singles.
And then you lose yourself in cardboard addiction.
Yep.
Next thing you know, you're like the Gollum coming out of the cave.
And it's 4 years later. You're on episode 117 of a podcast, and here we go.
Hey, I resemble that remark.
I feel attacked.
That's too funny.
But no.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I am back on the Magic wagon, but I don't see myself building any decks. I'm really only interested in the limited right now.
That's all good. Yeah. Do what works for you. They're definitely pushing it. They're trying to make it a thing.
And I think it's such a good game mode. It does require, it's not as beginner friendly, I guess.
No, it definitely isn't. You need to look at the cards. You need to have a sense of what they can do and how they can work together.
Yeah.
Like it's a studier's, like it's a gamer's format, which is why I always liked it, because it's like a gamer's format, but it's also even keeled. It's not like if you come in with all the most expensive cards, you win, right?
Right.
That's why
it's a game from deck construction.
Yeah, which I love that stuff. So, although I tell you, I have not looked at Thunder Junction like that at all. So I don't really like, if we draft that, I have no idea what I'm doing. You'll be much better than I am.
Well, we're gonna draft it together. You're gonna get a look before we do it.
I know, but you're like, if we do the little bundle boxes, like you're gonna be better, like guaranteed, because you're gonna play on Arena. I'm not gonna draft it.
We're gonna draft on Arena together.
I will draft once or twice. You're gonna draft a lot more because I know you. I know.
That's fair.
I know how this works, Tommy. You're into it. You've been into it for 2 months, so you could be ready to be into it in a month. You know what I mean? Like,
me getting into it has only been just grinding the ranked ladder, finishing quests. I haven't played with any of the Outlaws cards yet.
Yo, I know you haven't had that chance yet, but I also know you. I know how you are.
Oh yeah, I get fixated and I'm all in.
Yeah, you're in. You're doing it. The fact that you're telling me about all this, I'm like, uh-oh. It's like, I'm going to get my face smashed when we draft. It's okay, but that's going to happen.
Well, we also have that. Here's a fun story. I got one of those coupons on Amazon for a super cheap draft box of March Machines. It ended up being like $80. So I was like, cool, that seems like a good deal. And so it showed up on my front porch, not in a box, just the booster box with an Amazon sticker slapped on top of it.
Which is insane that's how that got delivered. I cannot believe it.
I sent John a picture and was like, we got boosters to draft with.
Yeah.
So that set I have done no research on.
Well, I think that would be a good even keel set to do the Winston with that too. I mean, I think we should do it with both because like Outlaws looks fun. It does look fun.
Yeah, and then we can see the difference of play versus draft.
Yeah,
because I do think I have heard that it does make a big difference.
Yeah, the power up for sure. For sure.
Yeah. Cool. Well, anything else before we wrap it up for the week?
I got nothing.
Cool. Well, until next week, we'll catch you guys later.
Have a good one.